SpaceX's move to Texas with Elon Musk. What do we know about Starbase? New rockets and Mars missions? Find out in our video. SpaceX will soon begin building a rocket engine plant near Waco, Texas, CEO Elon Musk announced in early July, detailing the plan in his usual manner on social media. The plan to be located in McGregor would be the aerospace company's second rocket engine production facility and would produce Raptor 2 engines, Musk wrote on Twitter. In confirmation, Musk tweeted in June that he lives mostly in a 50,000 house in Boca Chica, Texas that he is renting from SpaceX. He previously said he moved to Texas last year to be closer to his two main destinations, a SpaceX facility in South Texas and a Tesla facility currently under construction in Austin. SpaceX's Raptor engines are a family of full-flow rocket engines designed for use in Starship rockets. What about the well-known plant in California? Musk previously repeatedly stated that California relaxed and doing business there is not so profitable because of the high taxes. So it was decided to open new production in Texas where the income tax is zero. For the same reason, many large companies from Silicon Valley are now leaving the state. Musk confirmed that the plant in California will work and focus on SpaceX's new engine, the Raptor Vacuum, designed for vacuum conditions, as well as new experimental developments. According to SpaceX's CEO, the new McGregor facility will produce 800 to 1,000 rocket engines per year, or 2 to 4 engines per day. By the standards of large rocket engines, this is extra large volume, which will make the plant the most productive and advanced rocket engine manufacturing facility in the world. These grandiose plans are not surprising if you are familiar with the speed of Musk's ambitious aspirations, which rarely come to fruition 100% and on time. But it's hard to blame Musk for failing to deliver on his promises when he is almost the only influential person in the world who wants to change the course of history and make life multi-planetary, not just invent another consumer gadget. Musk said the engines would be needed for a fleet of rockets to go to Mars that would be used within 10 years. The period to create a city on Mars, he predicted, will take about 20 years respectively. By 2050, we will expect the finished settlement on Mars. SpaceX already has a significant presence in Texas, including in McGregor, where it has a test center used to research and test new rocket engines. SpaceX has leased about 4,280 acres of land and hired about 500 people to do so. Officials gave the company $2 million last year and plan to give another $10 million to improve infrastructure at the site. In South Texas, SpaceX has an operations center called Starbase near Boca Chica, about 20 miles east of Brownsville. It includes manufacturing facilities and a launch pad where the company tested Starship rocket prototypes. Musk said the new engine plant will be in McGregor because of problems at the South Texas plant. He did not provide details. The problems associated with operations at Starbase has left us with no choice but to transfer engine production to McGregor, Musk wrote. In addition to hiring, SpaceX has rapidly expanded its production facilities in Texas in recent months. The company has built 2 large windbreaks which will essentially serve as high bays for stacking the Starship. SpaceX has recently completed 2 soccer field-sized tents and is working on a third. In addition, Musk needs to arrange a linear conveyor belt along which rocket parts can get from one end of the factory to the other and move from station to station until the big Starship parts are in the high-stacking compartments of the rocket. The process of building a Starship begins with large barrels about 2 meters high and 9 meters in diameter. To make a barrel, a section of stainless steel is unfolded, cut once, and welded along the seam into a cylinder. When not sealed, the barrels are bulky, as each weighs about 1,600 kilograms. To build Starship's outer skin, 17 trunks are welded together, with a nose cone on top. The first of the large new tents is filled with domes for the SN2 and SN3 vehicles. Sealed domes are tricky because they cover the ends of the fuel tanks and must hold cooled rocket fuel, in Starship's case methane, and liquid oxygen under high pressure. So they have to be done carefully. The current process of building the pressure dome takes about a week, 1 or 2 days to install the steel plates, 4 days to weld the plates, and 1 or 2 days to X-ray and repair. But in Musk's opinion, that's too slow. Musk challenged his team to find ways to work faster, reduce production time, and improve weld quality. As a result, SpaceX engineers are already close to a solution for welding the dome using a tool called a pivot cam rolling machine, a prototype of which was built in the second tent. The rolling machine works like a giant zipper that connects to the front and back of the dome. At the front, the welded seam is aligned along the zipper, which is clamped for a precise fit. Then, after about 10 minutes, an automatic torch traces the length of the curve, ensuring an accurate weld. The dome is then rotated to see the next weld. Other engineers have built their own machine to X-ray welds. Currently, there is an entire team of radiographers to do this, quarantining the work area, clearing the rooms, and then using radiation tests to look for flaws. With this new X-ray machine, SpaceX hopes to reduce the process from an entire day to a few hours. But why does Elon Musk need to build so many starships at all, constantly increasing the rate of production? Because he is really serious about repopulating Mars. This is not a joke. It's not a scam to raise and squander public money, though Musk probably wouldn't turn down public funding. Mars is a raison d'etre of SpaceX. And now, in South Texas, Musk is getting so close to Mars that he can almost feel the surface of the red planet under his feet. But let's look soberly at the current state of affairs. Starship is only the upper stage for SpaceX's Super Heavy rocket, but it may be the most daring spacecraft ever built. No one has ever built a fully reusable rocket, and the second stage that goes into space is the most complex part of it. SpaceX is a long way from making the interior of a Starship livable for people going to Mars, but even building a fully reusable spacecraft capable of lifting 150 tons into low Earth orbit would be a miracle. That's more than the Saturn V rocket of the Apollo program. Compare this to NASA and its Space Launch System, the large rocket that the space agency has been developing for a decade and for which Boeing only recently completed the single-core stage. In fact, NASA will dump every stage of the SLS core into the ocean after a single use, and Boeing doesn't have to make the engines since a rocket uses 40-year-old space shuttle engines. Despite this, and with nearly $2 billion in annual funding from NASA, Boeing has set a goal of 1 to 2 core stages per year. Can you feel the difference? After all, SpaceX's goal is to build 1 to 2 starships a week this year and cut construction costs to $5 million per rocket. Musk may have a personal reason for this rush. I'll probably be long dead before Mars is self-sufficient, but I'd like to at least be around to see a bunch of ships land on Mars. One of the biggest challenges in rocket production, according to Musk, is developing quality machines to work with. If you're just trying to make something out of something, it can be done by a team of engineers, he said. But if you really want to produce something in reasonable quantities, you have to build a machine that makes a machine, which mathematically will be much more complex than the machine itself. What makes a machine is not going to be simpler than the machine itself. It's going to be much more complicated than that. Everything has to be translated into instructions that the average person can understand. It is impossible for someone with a master's degree in engineering from MIT to manually make every part. It is not even possible because MIT does not produce enough people. So Musk builds a car to make a car. What's more, he has learned from the Tesla assembly line and made sure that the workers don't burn out. They would work 3 12-hour days and then they would have 4 days off. Then they would work 4 12-hour shifts with 3 days off. So the 4-shift facility in Boca Chica can operate at full capacity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. SpaceX serves free hot lunches every 3 to 4 hours. Let's be honest, building reusable rockets is a hell of a lot of work, but one thing SpaceX has demonstrated over the past 2 decades is a growing competence in rocket building. When it comes to rocket innovation, is there anyone in the world better? Hardly. According to the first engineers who worked at SpaceX, Musk himself solves the most complex engineering problems. For Mars, there will be so many complex decisions that will give this idea life, from power on the surface to growing sustenance to adapting to extreme climate conditions. But Musk thinks the first and most difficult step is to build a reusable orbiting starship to get people and lots of stuff to Mars. He knows he won't get Starship on the first try. He hires some of the best engineers on this planet, and they are still trying to find solutions to the extremely difficult problem of taking an extra-large vehicle out of Earth's gravity into orbit and then landing it and flying it again. Musk has come to the conclusion that the only way to really achieve this is by trial and error, getting closer and closer to the right design. None of this is cheap. Boca Chica is a pretty remote place to deliver materials, but when it comes to space and automotive engineering, history shows that Musk is capable of overcoming difficult financial and technical problems. The Falcon 1 rocket failed 3 times before it finally reached orbit. Tesla faced bankruptcy several times. Musk has always survived. Now he runs the world's most powerful rocket, the Falcon Heavy, and the most economical and only reusable orbital rocket, the Falcon 9. And let's not forget Tesla, the world's largest electric car company. But even so, you might think that Elon Musk would fail in his Martian ambitions. They seem too fantastic. But it is precisely because of doubts that the moon landing in the 20th century is still considered one of the most significant technical achievements. It's time for decisive action and new heights. A huge number of SpaceX engineers and technicians struggle every day with incredible challenges and are determined to win.